Welcome to the Practicing Accountant Podcast, your go-to resource for transforming your accounting practice. This podcast is for accountants ready to take control of their business and build their ideal practice by mastering the essentials, setting the right prices, defining a powerful niche, and selling with ease. We'll dive into strategies that boost profits, attract your ideal clients, elevate your services, and help you choose the most effective pricing models. We are champions for efficiency, value, and intentionality, and adversaries of people-pleasing, bad clients, and complacency. We provide actionable strategies to help you break the hamster wheel of typical accounting work. The mission of the Practicing Accountant Podcast is simple: to enhance your experience as an entrepreneurial accountant and help you turn neglected practices into a thriving business. So, if you're ready to level up your practice, this podcast is for you. Tune in and let's get to work. I just got one of my favorite emails.
Yeah? What's in it?
Do you want to hear about it?
Yeah.
Well, it started with, hi, I got my 1099 and, it doesn't match my records. So I think you need to fix that. Which, for an accountant, that's like March Madness. Like, that's like, wait a second, mother trucker, let's take a look at this, right? So I went to the records and I went back to the 1099 and I checked and double checked and then I sent a really, really, really nice email saying, I am so sorry you noticed a discrepancy in your 1099 and I apologize for it. I wanted to share details on what information I used to complete your 1099, and I gave the detail of the payments that added up to whatever the 1099 said. Please let me know if the records match, and what you believe is accurate is what you should report in your tax returns, and I'll make whatever corrections are necessary and launch that email. I just got the response. For some reason, the mistake is on my end. It's right.
Shocking.
It's right. It's on your end.
That is a good feeling, especially when you approach it with kid gloves. And,
Totally.
And you didn't go too far and berate them for being a dumbass.
Well, I have noticed in the past, accountants sometimes come out of their corner punching when they receive an email like that, and it never does anyone any good. And so I always fall into the I'm wrong, and then I provide, here's my proof, and in the hopes that I'm not, but also being open to the fact that every once in a while the CPA coach is wrong too. And that's the first time I've ever done that third person quote. I'll have to remember that. But anyway, it's just a nice email to get.
You didn't use the per my last email or
Nope, nope, none of that. So that's always fun to get.
Good, attaboy.
So story time.
Yep.
Man, there's just a lot of movement in public accounting, big and small right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm noticing it in clients, and I'm starting to see some glimpses of layoffs in some firms, and not just the old advisory. We invested too much time in consulting Big Four layoffs, but more of a, we just don't have as much work to keep people busy. And that doesn't equate to lack of clients. It's not that revenue's going down necessarily. It's that literally the hours are becoming something that is becoming more efficient and effective.
Yep.
And so I had a client that unfortunately lost his job last week at a bigger firm, not one of the biggest, but a big one. And I got another guy this morning who's contemplating leaving because he's starting to see some signs of there being less work for him. And, you could point all kinds of fingers on why that is, whose fault it is. But I am noticing firms and leadership in firms are starting to look at headcount and starting to realize they can produce more with less. Yep.
Especially with our buddy AI coming along.
Our buddy AI. Yes. I feel like I'm just like, I know I'm not the one who's like ringing the bell and like, saying, oh shit, here it comes. There's others out there that are picking up on it. But the one thing I do have, and that's an advantage over um, a number of folks, is that I'm on the ground with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I shared a little bit about this with you this morning, but I had a call this morning with the top 50, top 60 firm, and we are putting an agent in place that's going to run the month-end close from beginning to finish, completely automated through an AI agent. And just there's two kinds of agents right now that are in the marketplace, because like Copilot has agents that are built in. You can actually build one in Copilot, I think. You've done chatbots; those are agents. Those are built to just sit on your website or whatever and do their thing. So there's like the pre-built, pre-manufactured, off-the-shelf agents that do things,
Yep.
and then there are the custom agents. And the custom agents is what you want to keep an eye out for right now, because the custom, the pre-manufactured ones are going to come in. They're going to sit on a pre-described system or prescripted system. They're going to function in a certain way. That's going to be the same way it functions at another firm or another place where that agent lives. It's going to run the same process wherever it goes. And you get it, and out of the package, it does what it tells you it's going to do and no more. So there's those, and they're valuable. They're going to definitely create a ton of time savings and help. And then there's the custom ones. And the custom ones live in whatever system you put it in, and it learns to adapt to the system. And it learns how to access whatever accounting software you have, whatever passwords you keep, whatever data is stored, wherever it's stored, and whatever system it's stored in, and it learns to live within that environment and do whatever it is you ask it to do. So that first one is most likely what the SOHOs are going to experience first. It's an out of the box agent that they can use that fits with their systems and their clients and their processes and operates. What I think it'll evolve to for them is that custom package where you've got an agent that learns and orchestrates a system in a way that helps your business. But here's the deal, and here's the bell ringing. Like, just imagine your business right now, and let's say you spent 10% less, 90% less time closing your clients' books or in bookkeeping in general.
Mm-hmm.
And you just try to imagine your business, and you don't have to use 90, you can use 80, 70, 60, 50, I don't care. I'm not trying to be scientific with it, but just try to imagine your business without the amount of effort and time that you put into bookkeeping. And what would your business look like? Or closing the books or whatever that you're doing for your clients. What would happen to your business if all of a sudden you didn't actually have to spend that time doing all those things? You still did them for your client, but it wasn't done necessarily by your hand. It was done by an AI agent. And what would that business look like? Like, what happens to revenue? What happens with all the time? How do you spend that time? I'm sure there's some folks that would say, "Well, I'm just going to enjoy all that extra time and take longer vacations as long as I'm still making the same revenue."
In the short term, that's
short term.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Until this drives costs down, pricing down across the board.
That, right. Because if all of a sudden it takes you half the time to do something, guess what your competition's going to do?
It's going to start a price war.
They're going to start a price war. They're going to start undercutting your price. We can do it for half as much as the guy down the street can. We've got these agents, even though you've got them too, but they're going to try to play the volume game.
Yep.
And they're going to do more work that used to be, say $1,000 a month, and now it's $500 a month, that they're going to undercut you to provide the same service. And not only that, perhaps quicker and perhaps without as much error.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this isn't a conversation about whether a human needs to be involved in an AI driven accounting process. They do. Like, a human has to be there to punch the buttons, to make sure it all works, to get things are sent where they're supposed to be sent. It just isn't spending the time with the actual labor of a close.
Well, efficiency is just going to skyrocket.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be nuts. And so if you're billing by the hour, and we've talked about this before, but if you're billing by the hour, we got some bad news for you. You're not going to have as many hours to bill.
Probably stop that.
It's a good news, bad news thing, right? Well, all of a sudden you've got all this capacity, but unfortunately you've also got less revenue,
Yep.
and you're going to need more clients, which may mean that you respond to one of those lead magnet emails that you get and dump into your trash or dump into your recycle bin. But you're either going to need more clients, you're going to need to change how you bill, or you're going to need to create a better value-based relationship with your client.
So yeah, that the two paths here are volume or value.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
volume, that's great, but I think you're going to have a hard time. A small firm, a small SOHO firm is going to have a hard time competing against the large firms on volume. That's going to be the Intuits, the Thomson Reuters, the H&R Block. They're going to come out with this huge AI, whatever, and drive their prices down to serve at massive volumes. And I don't think most firms, at least right now, are going to be able to compete with that because they don't have the capital that these firms do to implement that quickly.
Right. And also the fact that you can get a recognized name as your accountant for a lot cheaper than you thought you could.
Yep.
That's going to be alluring to a lot of folks. And it doesn't mean that won't be still people that stick with small business and share small business with small business, small B2B. But at the same time, if I can get a big firm stamp on my work that's being done, that feels pretty good, especially if it's not cost prohibitive. I read, and I'm going to preempt this by saying I probably could get it, but I don't want to get it. I read or saw that the bookkeeping market is going to be $1 trillion market by 2030.
Jeez.
Right? Like, again, like I wish I could say, and I read it in this research and this is where it came from, but I can't do that because I didn't spend the time to do it. Probably shouldn't even have said that, but I'm still saying it. But it's a huge market, so there's room for a volume play. You're gonna have to focus on client creation in order to do that, and it may look different on how you do it, but it's more website driven at that point. It's going to be something where you're really leveraging technology to market, and you're going to have a brand out there that allows you to build the volume that you're trying to achieve just to maintain the revenue
Right.
that you had before all this starts to shift, which is it's already happening. I don't know if you've seen, but in December there was an accounting agency, I guess I call it, that raised 30 or 40 million. The one I'm talking to is going to raise 20 or 30 in the next month or two. Thomson Reuters put $150 million bounty out for technology 2 months ago. And then last week, both E&Y and Deloitte announced partnerships with NVIDIA.
Yeah.
In regards to agent technology. And so it is here. And they're doing a combination of focusing both on internal processes as well as client-facing processes, and creating efficiencies with these systems. So these layoffs I'm talking about, once you find a Deloitte, like imagine the total number of hours, chargeable hours that a firm that size puts out to generate the billions of dollars of revenue that it earns. Like, let's just play for a second, and let's say it's a billion hours, which is way too many, but let's just say it was. And let's just say you could cut just 10% of that with technology and knock that down to 900 million hours to create that revenue. Like that's a lot of time sitting there.
Dude, have any of the big four firms gone to value-based pricing, or are they still on the hourly model?
They have hybrids, and they very much stick with like a fixed fee,
Okay.
like per month kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're big on the retainers. They definitely say they value based. If you look at some of their consulting work, like when they do evaluation or they do Q of E or they do things like that, like they're definitely in a value based model because the hours don't add up to the price.
Sure.
And those, depending on the circumstances, those valuations are used in litigation or in divorce or in some sales transactions. So there's a lot of money being thrown around in those type of events. And so they're able to value-based price without anyone really pushing back to say whether it's worth that much or not.
Sure.
They're just taking whatever they can get to have the report or the data or whatever they get.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are
Okay.
for sure.
Good.
But how do you prepare? Like, and back to the example of just imagining your firm spending an amount less time preparing the information that you're currently billing and providing to your clients, and whether that's 10, 20, 90, whatever it is. But just what would you do? Because we're there. Like, this is happening.
Well,
And it's going to happen.
I think all of our time should be spent on how are we creating differential value on top of what the volume players would be creating, which is the transactional work. And
Right.
how do you create differential value on top of that, whether that's relationship or insights or advisory work or whatever. That's where you have to spend all your time. Figure out something you're good at that you can offer your clients that is on top of that transaction piece, and refine that and start that as an offer or a piece of your offer.
Well, notice that this is somewhat the antithesis of Hermosi's value model. Like his four pieces are, create the dream outcome, do it in less time, less effort. And what was the fourth one? I don't remember the fourth one. But his model on creating that $100 million offer was to do it quicker, less painfully, and do the thing that they want. Oh, and at a price that is just obviously valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So under that model, that's a volume-based play right now.
Yep.
And so what we're considering talking about here, and we are talking about in accounting, is not necessarily the opposite of that, but it's, get it done quick. Do it with less pain for them. But then we talk about this dream outcome. We'll have to come back to that one. And for a price that's reasonable or valuable. But what's the dream outcome? Is it just to have the books done by the first or second or third day of the month? Is it just to have good, solid financials? Is that the client's dream outcome? No.
But they don't know that.
It's not.
Because there's a lack of education, because accountants have been too busy to offer a better outcome than just a clean set of books.
Mm-hmm.
Until now.
I'm going to share a story. I have a client who's rich. He's not like dirty rich, but he's rich. And he will bug me about bills like none of my other clients. Like, is this right? Did we sure we met then? And I can't owe this. Is it really? And then if I say, listen, I'll charge you less if we do this virtually versus in person. Like, he'll be like, wow, I don't know if I really want to swap. Meanwhile, I'm driving an hour out of my way to go see him and come back to my office.
Right.
But my point is like, those wealthy folks, they like to trim those pennies.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm attaching the value to in the case of this guy is something that's not valuable to him, or maybe it is, maybe it doesn't. But my point of this stupid story that may not make sense at all is focusing the value. What is the value of the work that's going on? Because we are dealing with a group of folks, clients, that can be penny pinchers at times. And if they're looking at something that's a commodity, something they can get anywhere, they're going to pinch as much as they possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
But where they won't pinch is around their wealth or whatever it is they find valuable to themselves.
Yep, their wealth, their health, or their status, essentially.
Yeah, right. And so when you think about imagining your firm with extra time, a lot of it potentially, and how you would repurpose that time, how would you answer? What would you do differently? If you're just a bookkeeping shop that has a certain number of clients, you get to bill a certain amount a month, and all of a sudden there's a solution out there that is a fraction of what you charge. What do you do? And tune in next time for our podcast on the topic of AI and your business.
Well, easy example, right there. That's us. Mm-hmm. We are bookkeeping only, but we are adding CFO services in there, and not CFO services like printing off reports. Like, we will be adding true CFO type services to this, because that will be the only play in the next 3 years, if not sooner.
Well, the buzzword acronym for the last decade has been CAS, client accounting services or advisory, depending on who you ask. And almost all of those services, AI is going to be there in every facet of it.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, where is the value again? And how do you communicate that value? It's going to come from relationships you have with your clients. It's going to become from being an advisor, from someone that they reach out to and talk to about all the things they have going on, that invites to the meeting that we talk about selling the business or buying an asset. They want you there. Like being in that role of advisor, being in that role of a true professional that your clients rely upon. And they know and don't care that you've got automation and all the things that you can do to do things quickly. They don't care about that. They care about you spending time with them, thinking about them, serving them, providing value to them. And that's I think the opportunity here when you think about that firm. That's losing that time. So the CFO services, that's a great category of value add that you can provide. And again, all the reports that you're bringing, that's not the value because you pressed a button and the computer spit out the report. It's the sitting down, talking through it, explaining some things. They could chat GPT it all day long, and they would read it, and it won't make sense, or it just isn't quite as clear to them as it would be coming from you, the individual who's really sitting at the table with them that they love having around, no matter the circumstances, and will continue to pay and provide opportunities to. And another thing, I'm on a roll here. Like if they already have some degree of accounting services, like they have an accountant in-house or, they've got some resources they use internally to do some accounting or finance work. If they step into, AI and start automating things within their own departments, they're going to have a bigger budget potentially to invest in an advisor that comes in and does the high level work rather than that low level work that's been replaced by a computer, and have more resources available for you to spend more time with them.
I think this is great for clients, great for business owners, because it will allow experts to step in and provide expert value and advice that they wouldn't have had time to do otherwise before AI. I mean, the transactional work is valuable, but it doesn't change anybody's life. It doesn't change anybody's business other than compliance, or if they're actually in there looking at trends. And I think this extra capacity that accountants will have to serve their clients better is a win for business owners if they can leverage it.
All right, we're going to do something. I'm going to do a live-ish inquiry here. Pulling up our buddy Chat GPT. I'm going to ask, from the perspective of a small home office accountant who provides primarily bookkeeping. Let's just start with just plain old bookkeeping services. What do they need to do in the next 3 years to prepare for AI stuff? I'll be somewhat general there. Embrace strategic advisory roles.
There you go.
Yep. Enhance your technical skills, which just is about AI. So that's one thing, I guess, too, that we should be pointing out, too, is ask an accountant how well you embrace technology right now is going to have a direct correlation with how soon that you're implementing this stuff. And so if you're not familiar with technology right now, or if you're in the, I'm past that in my career and I don't need to spend all that time doing that shit, I've only got 3 to 5 years left. You don't have 3 to 5 years.
No.
So how you embrace and manage technology, here's another one: reinvent your brand and value proposition. Bingo.
Yep.
And some other stuff. But again, I feel like I'm being kind of the canary in the coal mine a little bit, at least around this, but I'm not hearing this being talked about amongst my clients.
You know what I
And
see a lot in the Facebook groups is a resistance to the fact that AI will do their jobs ever.
mhm.
People are just hell bent, and probably because of their experience with like terrible OCR technology and AI chatbots that, you know, a lot of companies have had AI in their product for years, and it's not actually AI. It doesn't do anything. It's just it's not what we're going to see. But the level at which this is accelerating will replace everything that we've been doing transactionally eventually and pretty quickly, I think. And
Yeah, it's a tier.
yeah,
It's just again about availability. Like I mean, I can't say this clearly enough, and I know I'm not speaking to you. I'm just speaking to whoever might hear this. Like literally today, meeting with a $60 million firm, which isn't huge, but it's a good sized firm,
mm-hmm,
and talking about being to automate their entire clientele in how they close their books. That entire service area
yeah,
of outsourced accounting being done by AI. Like that's real, and that's again, canary in the coal mine or just reality. Like if you're an accountant right now and you are dismissing what what will be replaced in your business, then you're going to be caught on your heels
yep,
within a year. And now leaning into being more of that advisor, being more relationship focused, being more focused on value, more focused on your client's wealth, not your client's books.
mm,
Um, that's an opportunity for you to start it. But rather than go all the way into some black hole of speculation and when and how much, like just imagining, like if you want to do a strategic plan this year, do what you normally do with your firm, which in our experience isn't much. Do that, and then on the side, do a same strategic plan for your firm, assuming that you are spending a percentage less time doing work that you would expect would be automated with AI.
yep,
And then just look at that plan. Have a plan B in place. If you are determined that AI isn't going to replace you and isn't going to step on your toes, and you're going to continue to be able to bill your clients just as you always have, and they're not going to find someone who's embraced technology better than you have your plan A, but then back it up with a plan B.
you
What
bet.
if this is real? What if every all 20% of my time is no longer spent doing something that I normally do because of artificial intelligence? And see where that plan takes you to start stepping into that mindset of what you would do in your business if that were the case.
An ounce of what's that? An ounce of prevention is it worth a pound of cure?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah,
So a little bit of preparation here just to work it out in your head would be a pretty valuable exercise.
right. And just to put that pair of jeans on to see if they fit, and just to see if this is something that you feel you're prepared for, and what it exposes, where some of the risks are. Because if you are solely doing work that could be automated by AI, you've got some big decisions to make in the next year or two.
Or put that firm up for sale right now.
Yeah, right. Or start retiring.
That's right.
Well, I know a lot of people that are probably in that. There's a lot of older um, demographics in the industry,
Yeah.
and a lot of them are kind of taking I'm not dealing with this, and let's let someone else deal with it, and I'm going to sell or merge or
Yeah.
let this go, and yeah, but
And
here we are.
that's my theory on why VC is getting so involved is because they see how valuable AI can be in this industry.
Hmm. You'd like to think so. You'd like to think so, but they came in not with AI in mind or agents in mind. They came in with CAS in mind,
Hmm.
and so now that this has shown up as much as it has in the last year, I mean, because a year ago I didn't know what an AI agent was.
Mm-hmm.
Never heard of it. I hadn't heard about it until December. I'd used chatbots before,
Right.
which I didn't know were agents. I wouldn't even have called them AI. I just would have called them a software.
Right.
Um, but I didn't know about it, and now over the last week, you know, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of more people are starting to hear about it because of some of the news that's starting to come out.
Yep.
And it's going to be a rush.
Yep.
And when private equity, VCs, whoever starts understanding what this will do with their investment and how much more efficient it'll make their investment, yeah, it's going to happen fast.
Yep. And maybe instead of thinking like an accountant offering a service, start thinking like a business owner and how you can leverage this technology to run a business, not a firm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. A lot of opportunities.
Yep.
Maybe that's a plan C. Like, plan B is what if I have all this available time and maybe gaps in my revenue. Plan C might be, completely new strategy,
Yep.
similar industry, same thing, but like just coming at it completely differently than you had before.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I like it.
So this will be a conversation we continue to have. And I think developing into an advisor, if you're not already, I think a lot of folks, they might have given themselves a consolation prize for being an advisor with their clients that they haven't deserved yet. And so I think being intentional about being a real advisor to your clients is something that we would put some energy into in the future. But in closing, a couple of things. One, if you're listening and if you don't have access to our newsletter, I definitely need to pick that up. And what's the best email address they can send something to, Dan, so they can get on that newsletter?
I'll just put the link in the show notes and then click on that and sign up.
Awesome. Yeah, because we'd love to have you part of the newsletter. And there's a reason why. I think we are working on some stuff right now that we hope to be putting out over the next month or so, maybe a little bit somewhere around there. That I think folks in our newsletter are going to have, first rights of refusal to join and be a part of, and we'd love if listeners were a part of that and could get that information via the newsletter. And we're just excited to be offering some things that we think will provide some real value to folks that have been around and been watching or listening to us for the last couple of years. It's about damn time, right, Dan, that we actually offered something in this whole thing.
That would be great. That was the goal.
Yeah,
but
no, it's the goal. Yeah,
we just like doing shit for free. That's right.
We just like talking and having fun. So anyway, so please reach out, and we'll put that link in the notes so you can get on that newsletter. And otherwise, thanks very much for watching the podcast. We hope you share and like it, and look forward to having you back.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.
Cheers.